I want to get into branding a little bit, and then I'm going to take branding and I'm going to throw that into the whole recruiting process. Um, so with branding, what I mean by that is taking who you are and be able to present that in the way that you want to. So let's talk about Nike, for example, or Under Armour or anyone. They have this persona. They have this, their image that they want people to know them by. So when you see that logo, you know it's Nike. Or when you think about Nike, whatever your impression is, athletic gear, sports athletes, whatever. Um, that's the same thing you can do. Think about your team. Think about your team that you're on. Maybe it's your high school team, your middle school team, or your travel ball team. What does your logo look like? When you think of your school, when you think of your team, what do you look like? When you think of another school, or maybe you think of a powerhouse, oh man, these guys are always in the state championship. Or every time we go to this PGF tournament, they're always there. So you always see them. You just like, if you think Hanover Hornets or you think Stars Gold, you just have this automatically, that image pops into your head. You think of Bat Busters, you think of Firecrackers, you think of whoever, Chicago Bulls. It's just you have this logo, you have their colors in mind of who they are. So take that and let's personalize that just a little bit to you. Let's go, what kind of student is she? When we think of as a teacher, what is Susie's brand? What kind of work am I going to get from Susie? Am I going to get this rushed job? Take your English teacher. Take Miss Johnson, your English teacher. Puts out an assignment and she has all these brands that are in front of her. All 30 students in the classroom. She knows right away who's going to put in the work and write a good essay. She knows right away who's not going to turn in that essay. She knows right away who's probably going to rush it and get it done, but if they'd have put a little bit more time in, it would have been better. So where do you put your brand at? Where is your brand at? Let's take it to the restaurant real quick. When you see McDonald's, when you see Starbucks, when you see Burger King, when you see Applebee's, when you see the Yard House, when you see the Cheesecake Factory, there's automatically this instant branding factor. Are you looking for fine dining? Are you looking for fast food? Are you looking at a quick sit down? What are you looking for? So when you automatically start to think in your mind that you're hungry and you're going to go get something to eat, these brands start going through your brain. And it sort of helps you make your decision. If at that time, that brand pops out and is most popular in your brain at that time, that's probably going to have a little bit of say in where you want to go eat at. You want to go eat at Olive Garden or you want to go eat at Taco Bell. Which one of those brands at that specific time is pulling you in? Which one of those? That's going to help you with your appetite, right? So let's take this branding thing, thinking of restaurants, thinking of students, and let's put this into the recruiting world. Okay? So are you looking for a school, looking at their brand, what they stand for? Is that something that you want to align with? Do you want to take your brand, who you are, Susie Smith, and align with the Alabama Crimson Tide? Do you see your brand fitting into their brand? If you look at the military, look at the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Army, your brand, who you are, how you were raised, knowing what their brand is. Do you see yourself lining up with that brand? So if you think about it in that, if you take it out of your body and think about what's my brand compared to that brand, can I see myself there? So when it comes time for you to start making that decision and you're looking to make your list of schools, you're looking to break down, okay, this is my 25 right here. This is who I want to go with. And I had a buddy of mine, Greg Metler, with the firecrackers. Uh, he was telling me a story. He was saying that a lot of times you'll see that kids, their first top 25, their first top 25 list of schools, their wish list, if you will. You can look at the latest poll rankings and look that most of those schools, their top schools, are going to be that list that's in the top 25 because that's the schools that they know about that have a softball program. So with that, take a look at where you're at regionally and start from there. What schools in your area that are close by that you can go visit, that you can walk around the campus, that you can go to a sporting event and see it, or you can go to something that's some event that they have going on. It doesn't matter what, it doesn't have to be a sporting event. Like for instance, right here, right down the road from me is Coastal Carolina. They have public events going on all the time. So, can I go there and I can see Coastal's brand? I know what Coastal's all about. Is this something I want to be involved with? And then you can branch out a little bit further, somewhere in the state, maybe somewhere, if you're lucky enough and you got a couple of states that are close by, it's not, too far away. Visually go and inspect. Don't just, look at it on the internet or, I've heard of this college or whatever. That college that you like may not even have a program. So does your brand align with their brand? And as you move further into your process, your list gets smaller and smaller. But we start out with, this is my dream school. I want UCLA, I want Oregon, I want Florida, I want Alabama. So here's my dream school. So we put a little star beside those. And we dive into those and we look at their brand. It's easier for us to look at their brand because they are the national level schools where it doesn't matter where you're from, you've heard about these schools. Especially like if you're in the softball world, if you play football, baseball, basketball, you know who the top teams are over the last decade. So those are of course, they're going to be the most popular because that's the ones that you hear about the most. So from that most popular part of your wish list and my dream school, and this is where I want to go, what are some other schools? Let's talk Power 5 and Division 1. Of course, that's a goal for a lot of girls. For a majority of girls, it's to go to play Power 5 in Division 1. Is that a reality for everyone? Absolutely not. As you go further along in your process, your goal of playing Power 5 in Division 1 may go away and you don't have that same goal anymore. Things happen. You get older, you get more mature, and you want to go do something else. So, playing in a mid-major may be your ultimate goal. Maybe just playing Division 2, playing Division 3 may end up being your ultimate goal as you get older. So, aligning your brand with their brand. If you have Division 1 talent, Division 1 speed, and it's been measured, and of course you want to align your Division 1 abilities to a Division 1 level school. If you don't know if you're on that level, you might want to do some research and figure out these combines and figure out these measurables to see. Best way to do that is to go to a camp. It may be a prospect camp. It could be any camp that's out there that you feel like you're comfortable with going. Because I know the first time you go to a camp, it could be going to ECU or you can be going to NC State or you can be going to Texas. Any camp, automatically you're nervous. Automatically. You have this feeling of uncertainty. It may not even be nervousness. It just may have a feeling of uncertainty. So go there, get that feel, and see if this is the right fit for you. You're going to know right away if you want to, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. Or, I don't see it. I didn't get a good feeling. That first impression is huge. Same thing on them. They're looking at your brand. That coach, that person on the staff, whoever's in charge of their recruiting board or whoever is a part of that process, they'll know right away. They get a good feeling on you. They're going to either, put a little mark beside you and go, okay, we're going to keep up with this one. She's a 2025 or she's a 2026. I want to keep her on my radar. A little bit young right now in the recruiting process, but I know who she is. So it's all about let's align those brands. That's sort of where I'm at. Further on down the line, as you get a little bit closer and decision day is coming, maybe decision day is about 18 months away or 24 months away, maybe even as close as 12 months away, then we start diving into looking heavy into that academic program. What do you want to do when your playing days are over? Or if something was to happen to your playing days tomorrow, what are you doing? Taking your brand and putting it into the workforce. Are you going to be a nurse, a teacher, an engineer, a botanist, does Susie Smith, does her brand align with the engineering brand? When you think of an engineer, this is what comes to mind. That's what I'm talking about when we're talking branding. Okay. And then you got to see what schools provide that program, what you can do in high school to get into that program. There's prerequisites, of course. So it's all kind of taking all these different brands and getting yourself into a brand circle. You're a part of that circle, your brand fitting into that brand, their brand fitting into yours, and you're becoming a part of this. Because at the end of the day, once you're linked up and all these, it's like a chain, all these different brands are linked together, we're all end up pulling in the same direction. You're a member of the Oklahoma softball team. You're a second baseman. You have your social media account. You're a member of the community. Do they want your brand a part of their brand? Do they want you to be attached to them? It's like, go back and think about clothing lines. Nike wants somebody to come up with some brand new shoes. They want some influencer, some athlete to have some say on their shoe line. Hey, we're trying to work out a deal here. We think we could do good for a lot of people. Well, are they going to align with an athlete that's full of controversy, that's always in the news for something negative? What is that athlete's brand? Does Nike want to align with them? Take that and put that into your reality. If you're a C-level student, don't do anything in the community, don't have any volunteer time, you're doing bare minimum as far as school requirements are concerned, is that school going to want to align their brand with your brand? Or are they going to want to take on a A+ level student, someone that's active in the community, active in clubs, volunteering, ahead of the game as far as the academics? There's a better chance they're going to want to align with an athlete like that than with someone that's not doing that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you got to go out there and be an A-level student and volunteer in the community and do that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is make sure your brand, who you are, aligns the right way that you want it to with another brand, meaning that institution that you're trying to go earn a college education. Because at the end of the day, when you go to school, it's not that 4 or 5 years of eligibility, 4 years of athletic eligibility. You're still going to school during that time. You're still an active member of society. Now, I know it seems like when you play ball and when you go to college and it's like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're a ball player, but you're also out on the campus. You're in the community. You're doing different things with that. So there are different times, and there's a lot of times where you're not that softball player. You are Susie Smith, a member of the softball team, a college student at so-and-so, a member of this church, a member of this club, Bobby and Jody's daughter, Kenny's cousin. You're not just a ball player. So with that, your whole branding comes into play there, who you are as a person, because that's where your brand starts, this foundation of who you are. So when you're thinking about going to a school, wanting to visit this school, let's take a look at it. I mean, social media is huge. You can follow them on Twitter real quick. Go look at their Instagram. Check them out on Facebook. Look at their brand. What are they promoting? How are they putting themselves out there? How are they projecting themselves? What's the feeling that you get from this university? From there, you can either mark them off your list or circle them and say, hey, you know what? I can see myself aligning with their brand. I like their brand. I like this coach. Now, that's going to take you down a different path. Coaches change just like commitments change. Different things happen in the world. The AD could get fired. the university president, the president of the college could get changed and fire the AD. The AD can fire the coach. The coach could resign. The coach could retire. The coach could say, "Hey, my contract is up. I'm going somewhere else." So there's a lot of different things. So you also have to look at other people's brand and see if you want to be there. A coach could go from, say, college A and go to college B. Now all of a sudden, college B looks better to you. That brand looks better to you because that coach went there. So a college that maybe wasn't on your list now comes on your list. How many times have we seen it lately, especially lately on Twitter, someone opening back up their recruiting process because a coach left or a coach was fired or a coach retired or they brought in some other coach or whatever. It just, the brands, they didn't like it. They didn't go well. They're not jiving with it. So they move on from that, right? So it's ever changing, and it's just like your brand. So say your freshman or sophomore year, you didn't really care about school, so your grades wasn't the greatest. But you realize now, this year, this is my junior year, you start buckling down. Now you got straight A's. You're rebranding yourself as a straight A student. You've rebranded yourself a member of the Beta Club. You've rebranded yourself as a member of the track team now. You've rebranded yourself as an all around, like a utility type player. You used to just play second base and you didn't want to play left, or your team just graduated their senior catcher and they need a catcher. So now you've rebranded yourself as a member of the catching staff. So now the team's got 3 catchers versus 2, gives them some more flexibility. So you're always trying to improve your brand. I mean, go and look at any of these top brands. When I say the word brand, what's the first one that pops into your head? It could be anything. It could be Amazon, Facebook. And then automatically, when you think of, hey, what is Facebook's brand? Hey, what is Nike's brand? What is Reebok? What is Under Armour? There's an image in your mind that just popped up. There's an impression that you have of McDonald's. There's an impression that you have of the Bat Busters. When you think Georgia Impact, when you think of USSSA Pride, everything has a brand. Everything. So these student athletes that are going to college, that are wanting to pursue this dream of playing college ball, whether it's at Francis Marion right up the road here, or it's at Wofford, or it's at Florida, or if it's at Utah, or if it's I want to go play golf in Oregon, or if it's at Cal, or whatever. All these athletes have a brand. It's like in a big old bowl of ping pong balls, and they're starting to pick them up. Coaches are picking them up, and they're looking at your brand. What makes you and your brand stand out above this girl? And I can promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, I can promise you that your athletic brand, the athletic portion of your brand, looks very, very similar to that next brand that he just picked up or she just picked up. The athletic portions of your brand looks very similar to some other girl that you don't even know about. So what separates you and your brand that makes me want to buy from you? I want your product. I want your brand, instead of going and looking at hers and buying hers. Is it how you carry yourself? Is it how you are as a teammate? Is it how you talk to people? How professional you are when you interact with people in the professional world? Is it your social media? How are you looking on social media? That's a direct impact on your brand. Are you out there TikToking and twerking and not looking too great? Don't know who can see it, but everybody can see it. I hope so-and-so don't see it. Well, oh, honey, they've already seen it. They've seen you twerking. Okay? When you have a chance to become a member of a group or of a program in school and you think, I don't have time, I think you do. Try it. Try and see if you have extra time to be a part of this group. What can it do for you? How's it going to better you as a person? What can you learn from it? And that's something that you can put into your brand. I volunteer every other weekend down at the soup kitchen, or I volunteer every other weekend to help coach a rec team. I know a little, well, not, she's not so little. I, I know of a couple of girls that now have volunteered their time to become rec volleyball coaches in their community. They could be doing anything. They are already busy enough. These three athletes, they are already busy enough. And here they are giving it right back to the community that gave it to them. That's their brand. That's them. That's them as people, not athletes. That's them as people, giving it right back. That's family. That's community. That's a sense of pride, you know. So that's what I'm talking about when we talk brand. I'm not talking about the cost, how much it cost these, Louis Vuittons or whatever, that just, we say it's expensive so they can charge whatever they want to charge. You know what I'm saying? So what are you charging for your brand? Is the quality of your brand higher than the quality of this other girl's brand? Is it the same? Are we splitting hairs here? So that's my thing on branding and recruiting. It's right now, man. I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know if anyone ever expected the recruiting to get to this point where there's so much influence with social media. And there'll be some that says, oh, it doesn't hardly have any. I think it has a lot of impact on the recruiting, because college coaches are able to get to your social media and see. Your moms and daddies, your aunts and uncles, your brothers and sisters also have social media accounts. So when these athletes are out there, these coaches are looking at them and who they want to bring in, they want to know the whole family dynamic too. They want to know who has shaped this athlete, who has molded this student's mind and their personality and who they are. So yeah, they do look at your family. It's a whole process. Could it be the end all be all if they see something? Absolutely. It could negatively impact you. It just depends on who that coach is and what they see and that stuff too. So make sure that their brands look good too. I mean, if you're associating your brand with them. So it's a whole thing. It's not just one thing or two things. It's the whole bag. So college coaches, their careers are on the line. Their job is on the line. So they're going to make sure who they bring in is who they want to bring in. Do they get it wrong? Absolutely. Colleges make wrong decisions all the time. They get that wrong. Coaches, they're just not the right fit right now. You see professional coaches getting canned all the time. You see college coaches that are on the hot seat for whatever reason. Every decision they make, they research it as much as they possibly can. They want to make the right decision. And just like you want to make the right decision, you go somewhere. You want to make sure you get there and you got the playing time and you get your shot and get your opportunity and you want to get out on the ball field. Coaches are trying to make the best decision they can make too. So are you the coach's best decision? We're talking about brand, we're talking about skills, there's a whole thing that goes into it. But one thing that you can get into and impact your recruiting process over the next few years, depending on where you're at in your journey, is building your brand the right way. And I can't stress that enough. I didn't think about how critical a brand was until the last few weeks being involved with some of the national coaches calls, the organization that I'm involved with, and it got me to thinking about it. And if I can relay that message to any athlete and how critical your brand is to your journey and to your dreams and your goals, it's big time. I mean, You start now as like just for an example, 7th, 8th, 9th grader, and you start building that brand now, 20 years, 30 years down the road, when you have a business, or maybe you own a business, or you're working in someone else's business, or you're a partner or whatever, that brand that you established 20 years ago is strong. They're like, look at Nike, look at these brands, how old these brands are, and they last. So if we start building something and have a foundation when we're in 7th, 8th grade, I know it's not that big of a deal to you right now, but parents listening to me, let's try to help our athletes. Let's try to help our students get into that right mindset of let's put these little building blocks. Let's start paving the way for our brand, because our future is coming. Not always going to be a ball player. And if you're one of the lucky ones that stays in softball, from the time you were 8 years old until you retire from eventually coaching when you're 80s, there are people that have been involved with it like that. But chances are that's not gonna be you. Eventually, you're gonna step out of the softball game as a player. Uncle Time, or Father Time, not Uncle Time. Father Time catches up to you, and you have to move on from playing. You just can't physically do it anymore. You do something else, whether that's putting you into coaching, or you become an official, or you become an owner of a company that has a direct impact on the game of softball. Your brand was started being built when you were in 8th grade, when you started to become, allowing yourself, I should say, to be influenced by certain people. We look at athletes, Kat Osterman, Monica Abbott, Odyssey, Sis, Jalen Ford. We look at these athletes, they have a brand. Look at LeBron James's brand, Michael Jordan's brand, Kobe Bryant's brand, Kevin Durant's brand. These athletes have a brand. That's why they have a following. That's why they have a fan base. You look at these businesses, these mom and pop shops that are around your neighborhood. Look at their brand. What makes you go in there and shop? What makes you want to wear their shirt, wear their hat? I wear my hat all the time just so people know they see this hat, they see me. You wear your Angels shirt, you wear your Lady Dukes shirt. It's a brand that you want to associate yourself with. That's why you wear it. We got athletes, all the time that they change teams, right? Nowadays it's so easy to become a free agency, or join the free agency and become a free agent and want to change teams. Peyton Manning, right? Let's go back to the Indianapolis Colts days, right? You were a fan of the Colts and you were a fan of Peyton. You could have been a fan of Peyton because of the Colts. You could have been a fan of the Colts because of Peyton. Well, when Peyton left and went to Denver, did you burn that jersey and buy you a Denver Broncos jersey? Did you stop being a Colts fan? Or do you still kind of care about them, but you were a fan because of Peyton? So it doesn't matter where Peyton goes, I'm going to be Peyton's fan. Look at the NBA. NBA, man, they change all the time. What happened with LeBron when he left Cleveland, went to Miami? I don't know what word I just said. Miami, whatever that word was. But anyway, and then he goes back to Cleveland. So did you burn it when he left? Or did you burn his Miami one when he came back? Now he's out in LA. That person has their own specific brand inside of the team's brand, inside of the sport. The sport is a brand too, right? So let's just, for example, let's take a look at Russell Wilson. Man, I cannot talk this morning. So we look at Russ. He was with Seattle. Okay. Well, his global brand, his big time brand, right, is the NFL. So you see that shield, that NFL shield, right? That's Russ. He's in there somewhere. Well, then you have the team that he's on. So you got that Bronco. I don't know what that Bronco's name is. Speedy? What? I don't know. Somebody tell me what that Bronco's name is. Anyway, before that, he was a Seahawk. Before that, he was at NC State. Before that, he was at Wisconsin, or vice versa. I don't remember what he did. But sometime in there, he started dating Sierra. I don't know if they're married now. So now you have his brand and her brand combined, involved with the NFL. They're, so it's all about that branding thing. Imagine taking that information, that influence that you have from with this team, and pushing it to another team. That's what I'm talking about with the branding. So if we take it from what travel ball team you're on right now, that travel ball organization is a brand. It could be a very small brand. It could be a very big brand. It could be a brand that everybody likes, everybody knows. It could be a brand that nobody likes because y'all are good and y'all beat everybody. We don't want to see y'all at tournaments. Okay? It's a brand. When you go to camps with your team, your brand is inside of your team's brand going to that college team's brand's camp. Those brands are aligning. Think about it. If you're on a team that has a very small brand, you're not in an organization, you're just on a team. Nothing wrong with it. Nowadays, it has become easier and easier with people like the Alliance to not have to join a big time organization to get the same fair shake at visibility and exposure as the big ones. Now, being a part of a bigger organization means different things to different people. There are people that don't want to be a part of a big organization because it seems watered down. I've heard that. I've said that. But there's something to be said when you have an organization that is able to grow the right way and influence a lot of different people on different levels to make them want to be a part of your process. They want to be a part of your brand. It has the perks. There are different things. There is a lot of things that come from it. Each individual organization is its own. And as long as they're doing the right thing by the right people, making the right choices, influencing the right way, I'm all for it. I'm also all for the small organization that may only have one team per age division or one or two teams per age division. And it is small, it's community-based, they're in it for each other. There's no outside influence. It's us against the world mentality, the little engine that could, the underdog. I'm all for it. I got a couple of buddies that are doing something huge with Top Hand Storm up in Virginia. They are surrounded by big-time organizations, and they're able to compete because they've done it. They have been doing it the right way for a long time. They have some great people involved at the top. People like Sean Wade that is driving it community first. We are in this thing together. We're going to do it the right way. And there are people that want to be a part of that now. Their radius is starting to grow. People over the years have started to take notice. Hey, that team is doing it right. That organization is doing it right. They got a baseball side and they got a softball side, and they're doing it the right way. People are wanting this. So the size of your brand is less important than the impact of your brand. I have a very small brand. I wouldn't consider Black Diamond Softball and Fitness to be a brand other than I have a logo, right? I have a logo. Foul pole to foul pole, it's a logo. It's a brand. It's small. I mean, that's very, very small in this. I mean, how big is YouTube? How big is iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff, right? How big is the softball community? So when someone thinks of it, I want them to think of it in a certain way. I want my small brand to have a huge impact. You are very small as a brand, as an individual, but you can have a huge impact, whether it's in your community, whether it's in your school, whether it's in your household with your siblings, whether it's with whatever university you decide to go to, the company you decide to go to, the branch of the military you decide to go to, what corporation you're in, what company you start. So your brand can continue to get bigger and bigger and have a larger impact. You don't have to be some huge global company to have a huge impact. You can be the individual with a very small brand with a very large impact. Okay. So in the future, when you're thinking about yourself and your impact that you have on people, think of it as how people see you as a brand. What's your brand? What's your calling? What's your logo look like? If I was to Google you as a brand, what's going to pop up? A bunch of negative reviews, a bunch of positive reviews? What's your brand going to do?